Hello and welcome to the Kick in the Creatives podcast, hosted by myself, Sandra Busby, and my fellow creative Tara Roskell, offering you interviews, inspiration, motivation, and a gentle prod in the right direction. And for lots more information, challenges, and other useful tools to help you get creating, you can go to www.kickinthecreatives.com. And of course, this is where you can also find today's show notes. Enjoy the show. Welcome to today's episode, and if you feel like you've lost your way with your drawing, we're going to help you get back on track. But before we go on, we just want to say a big thank you to our latest Ko-fi supporters, and they are Karen MacDonald. Always enjoy your podcast and the challenges. Thank you for all you do. And Joanna Brown. Thank you so much, Joanna, for your continued support. We really, really appreciate it. And last night, just before I went to bed, I see another one come up on my phone, which you didn't notice, did you, Tara?
I didn't know.
No. Katie Lennon. Thanks again for another great podcast, and particularly for the mention. You made me squeal. You're both fab. Thank you for helping me grow as an artist. And I did ask Tara earlier what she thought that squeal might sound like. And what did you say, Tara?
I said, I think it probably sounded like you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, we really appreciate the support. Not only does it help us towards the cost of running Kick in the Creatives, which helps us keep doing what we do, but it also shows that you like what we do. So a big thank you. And we also want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Evolve. Evolve can teach you to paint in a realism style to a professional level in a year. Not only do they provide all the lessons and support online, but they also send you all the materials that you need. You can watch a free masterclass from Evolve by going to kickinthecreatives.com/Evolve webinar.
And thanks to everyone who's been sharing their work for the challenges with us on social media. As always, there are hundreds and hundreds and thousands, I think, now of posts, and it's really hard to pick people out. Esther Arroyo, she has been doing a Quick Kick September challenge, and I'm loving her stuff. And it's one of those styles that, makes you keep looking. She's been combining the blind contour, but she's been using text in her work and using really, really lovely colour combinations. It's really clever. Have you seen any of Esther's work?
Yeah, I had her on my list, actually.
Oh, did you?
You did. You stole it. I hope you're going to stomp and steal my others.
Oh, no.
I really liked her text that she's been doing, because I've been slightly experimenting with text, and so I'm going to take a bit of inspiration from her, I think.
Yeah,
I'm going to steal her idea.
And it's all about inspiration, isn't it? You know, she when she does her writing, though, you see, I always find when I write in my sketchbook, I think, oh, well, I've ruined it now, my chicken scrawl all over the page. But I mean this in the nicest possible way, Esther. But yeah, your writing on the text is I couldn't really make out particularly what it said in the beginning. So it's not like you've made it really neat or anything like that, but somehow that is what makes it work. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, really nice.
Yeah. So I'm really liking those. Catherine C. Slater. Did I steal another one?
No.
Oh,
no.
good. Catherine C. Slater, she's been doing the Sketchathon September challenge, and yesterday she posted a sketch of her devoted workspace, her like an art studio, I guess, along with a photograph of the workspace, and it looks so inviting in there. Do you know she's even got a sofa?
Really?
Yeah, she's got a sofa. It looks kind of like she's got this sort of like almost like a sort of, I don't know whether she's made a spare bedroom into her workspace or part of the loft or whatever, but it's really lovely, and it's just, she's got these old they look like vintage suitcase sort of stacked up, and it just looks really nice. I really like seeing where people create their work, don't you?
Do you know I've got a sofa in my office?
Have you?
Yeah.
I'm feeling left out here.
that is it's in the other end. It's in the semi-tidy end. Not my messy. Yeah.
I see. I've got an office wheelie chair. Not quite the same, but I have got fairy lights. So
yeah, no, I haven't got those. So you win.
Apart from the one I stole, who has caught your eye?
So I've got Jackie Hussey Paluski. I don't know if you saw this drawing she did of Joni Mitchell. It absolutely fantastic. It's basically a woman with a hat in it and a cat.
A hat and a cat.
Yeah, it sounds like a kid's rhyme, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's basically a blind contour that she's coloured up with markers, and Jackie's just brilliant with markers anyway, and I just love it. It's just so quirky, and I wish I'd done it. It was just so good. And then also there was a blind contour by Imaginings by Karen. I don't know if you saw this one, but it was of a bearded man, and it was just in black and white. And I think she'd done that thing, you know, where you just touch it with water and you get all the grey tones.
I think I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really loved that one. So yeah, they were my favourite picks. I've been away, so I've been rather lax and haven't been in there that much. I do apologise.
Have you noticed I've been really good, and I haven't disturbed your being away?
Yeah, you haven't actually.
No,
you didn't text me or anything.
No, I left you well alone. I thought, no, she's on holiday. I'm going to leave her alone, and I did. So yeah, hats off to me. I did
Clearly,
well.
There were no tech, no tech issues.
No technical issues.
No.
Oh,
So
dear.
anyway, what's been new with you?
Oh, yes, I've recently finished that portrait I was telling you about, and I'm sure I mentioned it on the last podcast. I'm pretty sure, I'm almost certain actually that the person this portrait is for doesn't listen to this podcast. So I am going to say what it is on here. I'm just not going to share it on social media until after her birthday, which is in a couple of weeks. So what it is I decided I was going to paint a portrait in the style of an old master. And I decided this when I was feeling a bit at that crossroads I spoke about. I don't know if you remember, Tara, I was sort of saying, I don't know what to do next.
Yeah, well, that's a bit
confused.
why we did this episode, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I kind of got out of the habit of doing anything, and I was sort of waiting for inspiration. Well, that never works. But anyway, obviously I'm a realism painter, and then I did those bums for a bit of fun, didn't I, which was great. And then I just sort of started feeling really confused about what I wanted to do next. So I decided to go right back to the beginning and paint something in the way I originally learned to paint, or rather taught myself to paint. And my thoughts were, by going back there just for fun, it kind of might just reboot me a bit, you know, like a computer. Do you know what I mean? And do you remember that time we went to Brighton, Tara, and we were walking around some of the galleries, and there was this guy, wasn't there, and he was doing like old master paintings, and like he did the girl with the pearl earring blowing bubble gum or something, or was it the Mona Lisa or something?
They were brilliant, weren't they? And he'd make some old master painting into sort of a Star Wars character, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
like
and he did. I'm sure he did the Mona Lisa or something as well. And he did. I can't remember what the Mona Lisa was doing. Whether she might have been making some kind of rude gesture with her finger. I don't know. I can't remember what it was, but it made me chuckle. But obviously that stuck in my head somewhere along the line. I really appreciated the humour in that. But I wanted to try something different, way different than what I've been doing, just to have some fun, I guess. And I've got to say, this portrait, it literally fell off the brush. I reckon it probably took me 2 weekends to do, to be honest. It was just letting bits dry, really. In fact, I didn't even have to do a lot of that, because it was quite thin layers. And to be honest, I was very, loose, I suppose, with certainly with the clothing and all that. So yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this portrait. It was really nice to do something that seemed so effortless for a change, and I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. So what this painting is, I've done it for my daughter, and it's a copy. Well, not a copy, let's say my own version of the girl with the pearl earring, by Vermeer. And what I've done is, instead of using the original face and copying that, I've swapped it for the face of my daughter instead, and I've done her with her tongue sticking out. I mean, I could go on and tell you the whole reason why I've painted her like that, but I think that would be a whole new episode. So I'm going to leave it there. But what I will say is that it gave me that feeling of wanting to rush back into my studio again, which I haven't had for a while. And we've been speaking about this, haven't we, Tara, that, art sales at the moment are very slow at the moment. And quite honestly, it can be quite disheartening, can't it? But when you think about everything that's going on around us right now, it's hardly surprising. So I think for the rest of this year, I think I might just paint some personal projects to get me back in the zone, and then I'll get back to the serious stuff at the beginning of next year. But yeah, this portrait's been really, really good fun. I've absolutely loved every minute of it. And I don't know whether it's because I know the face so well. It just seemed so easy. I don't know if it would have been so easy if I don't know if it was someone else, or if I was trying to do a dead copy of that original painting. And the other thing I was going to do originally, I thought, I could do that crackle glaze, and I could make it really, really do an absolute copy of the painting apart from the face, but also age it in that way. And then I thought, actually, do I really want to do that? Why don't I do the painting of the girl with the pearl earring, but kind of in my own style rather than Vermeer's, if you know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't have to be true. You don't have to be totally true to it, do you?
No, I definitely wasn't a slave to it at all. So by the time this podcast goes out, it'll probably be on my social media, because her birthday's on the 3rd of October, so I shall probably post it very soon after that. So yeah, if it's after the 3rd of October when you listen to this, you can go to my Instagram at sandra.busby, and you'll probably see it on there. What about you, Tara? What is new with you?
Well, I've been away, don't you? We just went away. We went away for a week to the coast in England. And we didn't have great weather, but it was just nice. It was nice to get away. But of course, because of that, I didn't really do much. I did a couple of loose face sketches while we were away. That was all just one night. Just felt like doing something a bit different because we didn't have great weather. We weren't outside that much. So yeah, I just did some, those watercolour markers that you've now got.
Yeah.
I just did some stuff with those, just really, really loose. So that was quite fun. And I quite enjoyed the fact that I was doing that and it was just for no reason, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be, like you, I guess. It wasn't going to be a thing that I was going to try and sell or anything like that. So that was quite fun.
You've got to show me those. You have to send me a text.
I put them on social.
Well, we'll go into social in a bit.
Oh no! I think I put them on. I think I put them on a story. I didn't put them on like Insta. It was on Twitter.
Oh, right. Okay.
See that? Yeah, they would have gone off Instagram. But before I went away, I don't think I've spoken about this. I finally tried some big art.
Yes, I know.
I've been talking about this for ages, haven't I? And I don't think I mentioned this on the previous podcast. But yeah, I finally got the big canvas out, actually tried it. Like the first time I wasn't that happy with what happened. The second time went loads better, but I've had to adapt how I work a bit because if I'm working big, those little Neocolor crayons.
Oh yeah.
They're just so small if you're working at A1 size, big.
Can you not take the wrappers off and use them on their sides?
Yeah, but it's still not, it still doesn't really work, not very well. So what I ended up doing was I wanted to get some really big oil pastels, but I actually took out the ones I have, and they're actually about 1.5 times the size of a Neocolor anyway. They are quite a bit chunkier. So I ended up using those, but then I actually used, because they're water-soluble ones, I used them with a bit of matte medium mixed in. So what that's done is set them. Bit.
Brilliant, yeah.
Which is, because that's what drives me nuts about oil pastels. Because like Neocolor do not rub off anywhere near as much as oils do. And I wish someone would come up with a solution for oil pastels where you could actually spray them at the end and it would actually properly fix them.
Yeah, that's the only trouble, isn't it, with anything like that. It's like,
I know you hate them, but they are such.
I don't hate them to look at. I hate using them myself.
Yeah. But as a medium, for someone who likes immediacy, they're like really, really nice. Just that fact that you can never properly fix them is frustrating. If they could come up with something where the two chemicals,
you can use a brush.
wherever you sprayed it.
You can use a brush and some
solvent.
Yeah, and it'll almost use it to kind of dissolve it and use it as paint.
Yeah, well, I've got water-soluble ones, so basically I can just use water.
Yeah.
I guess it's like, water oil paints.
Yeah.
So yeah, it works like that. But yeah.
So are you going to do it again?
Yes, I am going to do it some more. I've actually ordered some paper. I messaged Carmel, who was on our previous podcast.
Yeah.
Just say, what paper did you use? I can't remember what you said.
Stonehenge
I should have
or
gone
something,
to the
wasn't it?
podcast. It was. God,
Stonehenge.
you've got good memory. and so I was going to go and buy Stonehenge paper, and I went and had a look, but then they had some Bockingford on sale. And being a cheapskate, I had the Bockingford because they got Bockingford got a nice smooth surface one. So I've gone for that. It hasn't arrived yet. But I was thinking, the good thing about that is I might be able to roll them up if I manage to sell some. At the moment, I've got boards, which are going to be a bit of a nightmare to post.
That's the thing, isn't it? It would be so good if you could just put them in a tube. Because
I put them in the tube with a bit of...
And they're so protected in a tube, aren't they? They're much more protected. I mean, I used to send my prints mounted and flat, and they look beautiful. But the problem is the damage is so hard to pack them where the corners are not vulnerable, and it's so much more expensive, and they're prone to damage. You know, it's so much easier and much, much better for the print, I think, if you can just put them in a tube, you know.
Yeah,
it doesn't look so amazing when it comes out because it's not pre-mounted already, but it's easy to get something mounted, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Yeah, and I wouldn't sell it mounted anyway, because if I was going to sell the boards, but the boards, these boards I've been using, they're about maybe 2 mil thick. So it's not so you've got if you post it, there's no rigidity. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, at least if you've got a canvas on a frame, you've got that. And with this, you've got nothing. So you're almost going to have to pack it in some MDF or something.
It's interesting how you have to adapt not just the size of your mediums, but even the movement in your arm even.
Oh, God, totally.
It's totally different, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't know. And I also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but because I usually do this acrylic ink at the beginning. You know, I go really loose.
Yeah, you
and
kind
use
of
the
drop it on, don't you?
Yeah, I drop it on, but which is great when you're on the flat. But of course, I tried that on an easel. not so great when it all drips. So I ended up on the floor.
Can you not lean your?
Yeah, you can, but because the board's so big, it's just really not comfortable. Do you know what I mean? Doing that. And so what I ended up doing for the second one, once I learned that didn't work very well, was having a big protective sheet on the floor. And I was on the floor doing that piece on the flat. And then I did the other bit on the easel.
You should have attached your camera to the ceiling and done a bird's eye view.
Well, do you know what? I was thinking, I'm going to try and do on that. The trouble is, our ceilings are not that high.
So it'd be a close-up of your bum.
Yeah, be close-up of my bum. So I'm sure that I'd do really well on social media. In my very sexy... What knickers
you've got. If you've got your Andy J. pizza knickers on.
No, it wasn't. It was Doodle Man, wasn't it? Not Andy J. Pizza.
If anyone who's listening does not know what I'm talking about, I had a pair of very beautiful, stunningly sexy knickers made for Tara, with the permission, very kind permission of not Andy J. Pizza.
Bergerman.
John Bergerman. John Bergerman. Yeah, sorry, not Andy J. Pizza. We've had him on as well. John Bergerman pants, and it was a slice of pizza, I'm pretty sure.
But you can get me some Andy J. Pizza ones if you want. You know, I don't mind.
I wonder what he would make of that.
I'm sure he'd find it funny.
Anyway, so you weren't wearing those, right? Okay.
No, but what they'd have is a lovely picture of me wearing my boys' tracksuit bottoms.
Lovely.
With the nice
builder's
striped... just very sexy boys' tracksuit bottoms.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm. So you might get that yet on social media.
You wait, later on you'll be going, here is my latest setup.
Yes.
And you'll have this camera dangling from the ceiling.
Yeah, I've got to work away rigging that up. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else new with you, or is that it?
No, that's about it, I'm afraid.
Okay, so today we are going to try to help you figure out how to get back on track if you've stopped drawing. And we've decided, we so often do this, don't we, Tara, where we decide on a topic depending on what's going on with us at the time. because we don't like talking about stuff that we've not experienced. We only like talking about stuff we have experienced. And quite often it's when we're experiencing it, if you know what I mean. And yeah, and if you've listened to us regularly, probably the last couple of episodes, you've heard me sort of say, oh gosh, it's because I paint a lot. I have a website, I sell, I do all this stuff, but there just came this point, and I don't know what it was. It just sort of just suddenly happened where I thought, I don't know what to do next. I just don't know what to do next. I think I started confusing myself. I was experimenting, enjoying other things. I thought, oh, well, now what do I do? And I don't know. I just wasn't feeling very inspired to do anything in particular. So yeah, we sort of decided on this subject. We thought it would be quite good, but it sort of tied in as well with me not drawing anymore like I used to. And I'll go into that a little bit later, but basically I think if you stopped drawing or painting for a while, it's one of those things that easily happens. There can be a lot of reasons behind it, but I think the first thing you have to do is you have to find out, or at least think about, what's caused you to lose your way and how you can then get yourself back into the habit, which, by the way, I am back into the habit now, which is great. But I will say one of the reasons I've got so distracted recently is I was getting way too caught up in social media. And I don't really mean looking at social media. I mean stressing myself out about being on it a lot. And you were saying this earlier, weren't you, Tara? You were sort of saying you have to be really, I don't know if it was before we started recording, was it? We were talking about something.
Before we started, yeah.
Yeah, and we were chatting about the amount you have to do on social media to be successful. And I would say that anyone who follows me on social media, you probably noticed I haven't been on there for at least the last 3 weeks or so. In fact, I know it's about 3 weeks. And that is because I decided to take a complete break for a bit. And I don't mean kicking the creatives, obviously. I've still been manning that and all that sort of stuff. That's a separate issue. I'm talking about my personal art platform. And one reason I took a break is that I haven't been able to share the process of my recent painting anyway, because obviously my daughter, whilst I'm sure she doesn't listen to my podcast, I'm sure she doesn't listen to this, she certainly follows my Instagram and things like that. So I didn't want her to see what I was doing, so I haven't shared that. And the other reason is what I was just saying, really. I was getting too caught up in that stress of thinking I need to post, I need to set something up for Instagram, I need to make a reel, I need to make a video. And I decided in the end, oh God, this is all taking more time than the art is. Do you know what I mean? It was getting a bit, I was finding it a bit, can't even think of the word. Really
overwhelming.
It's really stressing me out, thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to do this. And I suppose I could, I know what, before you say this, Tara, because I know you so well, I know that you would probably say to me, and you're absolutely right, I could have recorded the whole process of the painting I've just done and made loads of posts from that to put up later on. But then I felt as though if I was going to take a break, then that would have been defeating the object. It was nice just to relax and paint, not think about taking any photographs, making any videos. And I think...
You know what you could do, though, don't you?
What?
Just butting in. But what you could do, I've seen someone do before, is they basically finish the painting and then they just get a brush with a bit of paint on it and make it look like they're finishing off a tiny bit of detail.
I could do that. I don't mind doing that. Maybe I could just sign it.
Yeah, anything like that. Yeah.
But, it was just so nice to not think about that just for once, just for one painting. And I think if there was going to be a painting I needed to do that, it was this one, because it was for someone else. It wasn't meant to be anything to put on social media, And I think the painting probably would have taken twice as long at least if I'd have done it any other way. But let me tell you the other reason I took a break. Quite honestly, it was because social media was just getting right on my nerves. It really was. Do you know, I follow specific people for specific reasons. And of course, social media decides, doesn't it, for you what you're going to see.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I was thinking, why am I seeing all of these reels and videos, A, from people I don't even follow, and B, with the most annoying and loud and irritating music. Oh, God, I was getting so bored of seeing the same things done by different people, just in a bit of a different way. And like I said, it's people I didn't even know I wasn't following. I just couldn't understand it. It was like, where are the people I follow? You know, why aren't I seeing your stuff, for instance? Why aren't I seeing Carmel's stuff? The people I love to watch because they're very, that's what I want to see. Why am I seeing somebody, I don't know, dancing with someone else while they're making their bed? I don't understand it.
You can set it, you know, you can set it.
Okay,
so you
this
choose
is
who you want.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us then, because I'm pretty sure that everyone who's listening to this, there'll be a lot of them that, like me. How do you do that? I know how you do that on Facebook. So how do you set it?
I haven't got my phone to hand, but basically on a person's profile, there's like I don't know if it's like a little bell, like on YouTube. There's something at the top, and you can set them as one of your sort of preferred people.
Okay, I get it. Right. Because the other thing I was thinking is that it's all videos. I'm not seeing any pictures anymore. I'm not seeing pictures of people's art.
That's because they're promoting it. There's a bit of a backlash against Instagram because Instagram, you know, TikTok, the app TikTok.
Yeah.
Well, TikTok have grown massively. And the short form video, which is what TikTok's all about, is becoming huge basically on YouTube and on TikTok. And so Instagram are trying to grab that market. But what they haven't thought about is that what a lot of people are on there for is they love seeing photos and photographs of art. Yeah. And so there is a bit of a backlash going on. I guess what they're trying to do is they probably want to get the younger market in, because the younger market are probably gone from Instagram and they're probably trying to get some back or get the new ones. But yeah, it doesn't appeal to the people probably that have been there quite a while. It's
just changed so much, Instagram. Yeah. It really has. It's changed from being, I have a feed full of beautiful art and people's drawings and just everything I wanted to see. And of course, I do really enjoy looking at people's videos and reels to a point, but I want to see photos as well. I don't only want to see, and it seems to me like you have to be a comedian as well. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you should be all right.
do you know what I'm saying though? It's like, and that's fine.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I love, I absolutely love a bit of humour. I have a very naughty sense of humour. I love it. I really do. But there comes a point where you think, okay, right, well, hang on, what about the other stuff then? Where's that gone? Where is it all? It seemed really weird. It seemed like I couldn't even see any photos anymore. Everything I was scrolling down was just a video, and it was a video of something I wasn't even aware I was even interested in. Do you know what I mean?
We'll have a video of my bum soon anyway. So
that I will be zooming in. I don't mind all of that. I love a bit of humour, I really do. But I just want it to be from the people I'm following, not from the people I'm not.
You don't want a random bum, do you?
I don't want anyone's random bum in my face, no. I really don't. I know, I'm not silly. I know social media is so important for what we do. I know it is. And this is something I do know I need to work on next year. But it's easy, isn't it, to feel like you've got to compete with everyone else's numbers and the amount they post. But at the end of the day, it's the art for me that is the most important thing. And I just needed to step away from that for a while. But do you know what the weirdest thing was? The weirdest thing was that I got more followers in the last 3 weeks that I haven't posted anything.
Really?
Than when I was posting every day. Isn't that?
Although I reckon that if you don't go on it for a while, like, a couple of weeks, and then you post something, I do wonder if there's something in their algorithm that says, oh, we need to encourage this person Do you know what I mean?
Ah.
A bit more.
Well,
I
maybe
don't know. I'm just guessing.
Maybe
I'm guessing this.
Maybe you're all missing a trick then. Maybe if you all need to take a break for 3 weeks, you'll get about, 50 new followers. But no, I do. Of course, now I've got some new followers. I'm like, oh no, I feel really guilty now because they followed me and I'm not posting anything. But I am going to come. I'm just giving myself another week. And I do need to get back onto it. I do. And like I say, it is important. It's an important part of what we do. But it just became, in the end, it became like that. I was going into my art studio more thinking about how I was going to post and what I was going to post than going in and thinking
the actual painting.
The actual painting, let's get on with that. And I realised that the balance was all wrong for me, so I needed to kind of completely reset. Let's just work on the important stuff, and then I'll go back to that. But yeah, it's when you go on social media and you look at all that, you kind of think, how do these people do all this stuff, And it does make you feel like, I can't possibly compete with that. I don't have that sort of time. And then it almost makes you think, well, then I can't, why bother? Which is a terrible thing to say, because I'm on a podcast to inspire people, but I'm just being absolutely honest. I'm being 100% honest with everyone. I have not felt inspired to be on social media recently.
I actually did see Carmel, who was on our previous podcast, say, and she's brilliant at social media.
Oh, she's amazing.
Fantastic videos. I'd almost say she's a photographer, the way she films stuff. She just creates such a lovely shot. But I actually saw her say on social media that she was going to be cutting back on social media because she felt like she was becoming more consumed with making for social media than she was by doing the actual painting.
Yeah.
So I think it's a common thing.
Do you know, I was thinking about something the other day, going slightly off
topic. What? The fact that you were thinking about something.
You are so mean to me. I was thinking, I don't know what was happening on your end. I was thinking, what on earth's just happened?
just sounded like you need a round of applause for that, the way you said it.
Yeah, but now I can't remember what I was thinking. I was going to say something and you've just totally thrown it.
Sorry, what was it then? I just told you about Carmel taking a break.
Yes. Right, before I get distracted again. Okay. So I was thinking, don't be mean. I was thinking the other day, I would say, the mid-90s to, let's say, 2010. I honestly think that was probably the very best time there ever was in history of being an artist. Because if you think about it, before then, you had to get in a gallery, really, didn't you? Otherwise, your art just wasn't seen anywhere. It just wasn't. So to be any kind of successful artist was nigh on impossible unless it was very, very, very difficult to make money from art. And then along came computers and blogs, and if you got on there quick enough, you became very well known on your blog, and you got a real great network. And then there was websites, and we had our own galleries. We didn't need galleries so much now. If you weren't in one, it wasn't a big deal because we market our own stuff. So it's fantastic how has been absolutely amazing. What I was thinking though was, since let's say 2015 maybe, I wonder now if we've gone back to a time where it's a lot more difficult to be seen because it's just incredibly dilute now, and with algorithms and all the rest of it. I don't know whether we've gone backwards and it's actually harder again to become a well-known artist or a well-respected artist or somebody whose name is known in the art world. I don't know. And I think it's because it's all gone a bit too far. It's gone so far that it's gone too far.
Yeah, I mean, I guess some of it as well is everything. It's very accessible now. So, whereas back then, even when you first had to do a WordPress blog before you could get Easy Blocks, there was a little bit of friction, I guess. You know, unless you were a little bit technical or prepared to give it a go, you wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But now it's easy to have, you don't even need a website, do you? Just open up an Instagram account. So anybody can do it. But I think you can still do well, but I just think those people that do well, I just think they must put masses and masses of work into it.
Yeah. I think you do. You need to be you need to be
consistent.
Yeah, I think that's the key, isn't it? Is consistency. So don't do what I've done. Don't take 3 weeks off.
No, and also I think, because like for me, I've been on Instagram quite a long time, but I haven't been doing the same thing. It's only in the last year or 2 years that I've actually been consistently painting. Before that, I was much more scribbly sketching, wasn't I?
Yeah.
So, whereas you've got these people like Anna Zubarev, who we had on the podcast a little while ago, I think she said she's been consistently posting for like 6 years or so. But if you can imagine, she's been posting like pretty much every day for 6 years and talking to people, and she's got this very consistent style that people know what they're going to get with her. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So. And that's, I guess, why people like that do well.
Yeah, because obviously the last sort of, 10 years I've been painting marbles and bottles and reflective stuff, and then all of a sudden there's bums and an old master portrait. So that just amplifies the level of confusion I'm at right now. Actually, I will say I'm not confused. I know that I am not veering away from what I've been doing. I think playing has been the thing for me. I think I just needed to do that. But then,
good.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So if you do find you're getting a bit caught up in it all, there's no harm in taking a break, I don't think.
No, but there are other things you can do. Like you could use a scheduling app and schedule a week or two's content. I mean, that's what I've been doing while I was away as well. And like we said, you don't have to just make one bit of art into one post. You can post it multiple different ways, can't you? You can do a video of it, you can do a close-up, you can do, detail and texture and all sorts.
I did one, didn't I, where I was just spinning around really fast so that I was showing my painting that I couldn't show because it was commission, and I just span around really fast so that you couldn't actually see it, but it was just me spinning around with this painting. So it's like I'm showing it, but I'm not really showing it.
Anything like that. But
so you can get Tara.
Well, for us, for Kicking the Creatives, I'm using an app called Promo Republic. It's not one of the bigger, well-known ones, but it's one that I bought really cheap on a one-off payment. But for myself, I've got one called Sociamonials, which again I bought very cheap, one-off. I find these deals. But there are very big ones called, like there's Buffer and Hootsuite, and they tend to have a free plan where you can do like a small amount of posting for free. But also Facebook and Instagram, they've got their own one called Creator Studio that's completely free. And you can go into that and you could schedule out like a week worth of content in there and get it to go to both platforms. The only thing you can't do is reels. So if you want to do a reel, you have to, you basically just save them as drafts. Or I think you can post reels using some apps, but it doesn't do it very well because you don't get the music, you don't get the text and stuff like that. But also, another thing you could do, which I think we've spoken about a bit before, is just to concentrate on one platform rather than spreading yourself too thin. But there is actually an app which I used ages ago, and I think it's free to use like a certain amount of times, and it's called, this is a terrible name, IFTTT.
IFTTT, right.
And I think it stands for something like if, then, than this, then that.
Oh, if, then that, then that. If, then that. I've heard of this.
Yeah. And so what you do there, like say you decided your platform was going to be, Instagram. You'd set up your Instagram post, but then you'd set up this IFTT to automatically make connections to, say, like Facebook and Twitter. So basically you post your Instagram and it automatically posts to all the other places.
Yeah.
Which is quite a good idea and might be good for you, actually.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, Twitter, I went right off. Twitter, I was like,
but you could automatically post, even if you're not doing it going in and actually talking to people. You could just send your art, send the post
no
you're sending
harm, is
to.
there?
No.
Yeah. So basically, life generally getting in the way. That could be another reason you're distracted. Well, that's also been my problem recently. There's been a huge amount going on this year, which has meant lots of time away doing things when I would normally be painting. And, this year it seemed like every man and his dog is turning 50 or having some sort of big birthday or big anniversary or something. And there has been so many social engagements. I know how much you love a social engagement, Tara.
Oh, totally love it, yeah.
And weekends away, which, is nice. But I did say to Paul last week, I said, do you know what? Next year, I do not care if I do not set foot outside of my front door for an entire year. I feel like we've done a lot more than we normally would. And, I suppose it's just eaten into that sort of time that I would normally be using to start a painting or get inspired to paint, or, I don't know, just being in my studio and drawing and all the rest of it. And I do think it's interrupted my usual flow, I think, Most years I just buzz along quite happily, painting regularly, and I just have this kind of routine going on. But I reckon, at least half of my weekends have been interrupted by this year, by stuff that, has basically just put a spanner in the works and jarred my flow a bit. And it's all very nice to have things to do, but actually I could live well without any of that, because I want to be in my studio. I want to be painting. I don't know about you, Tara. Actually, yes, I do know, because I'm pretty sure we've had a conversation about this in the past, and I know you feel the same as I do. But when I don't paint or draw regularly, I find myself getting really, well, not really, but quite moody. Do you know what I mean? So kind of, I don't know.
I'm quite moody anyway, regardless.
You probably walk around with an axe when you don't draw. It's kind of like a drug for me, I reckon, drawing and painting. In some way, I think, I don't know whether I just find it incredibly calming, or whether after several years of doing it, it becomes such a part of what you do that without it, you just don't feel yourself anymore, do you? But I guess I notice I feel very different when I haven't got a painting on the go, or I haven't at least drawn for a while. And we've talked about this recently, that I totally got out of that habit of daily drawing over the last, because I used to get up every morning, didn't I, for an hour early. I used to draw every day. But because everything had gone completely bonkers this year, I just got out the habit, and that's not healthy for me. So like I said on the last episode, just recently I made the decision to go back into the studio every morning and get back into that habit of drawing every day for an hour before I do anything else. Basically prioritise it above anything else that I'm doing that day. And I mean, obviously there's days when that's not possible. I couldn't do it when we were away for that weekend, things like that. But I'll always fit it in somewhere. And I'm just talking here about sketching at home. I'm not talking about going anywhere with my sketchbook or making it complicated. The idea is just to have a pencil in my hand and draw. And you can do the same thing. And it doesn't have to be for an hour. It can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes in the morning. And if you can't, well, then just get up a bit earlier like I did. And I've got to say, I did find it surprisingly easy to slip back into that habit of daily drawing. And I do feel so much better for it. I think once you've had a habit, it is easier to do than when you haven't, if you know what I mean. I think it helps when I don't have a painting on the go, because sometimes I think I feel so involved in the painting that the drawing then becomes the secondary. But it's really nice to concentrate on just having a bit of fun with a pencil again for a while, rather than a full-on painting.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about starting a sketchbook again, because I've just totally neglected it since I've been painting. It's that thing where you almost feel like you don't need it. Do you know what I mean?
Because you used to sit on the sofa, didn't you, in the evening and just sketch?
Yeah. But I have actually been thinking about doing something, and I might actually record them as well, for social. But I was thinking about maybe doing a 50 Ways to Draw a Face again, but in much more of a sketchy form in a sketchbook. So they wouldn't be... They weren't necessarily finished paintings last time, all of them. But this would be more of a sketchbook, smaller sketchbook thing. So I might have a go at that. I probably wouldn't put so much pressure on myself that it wouldn't necessarily have to be finished in 50 days. But just the idea that if I've already chosen a face, I haven't got to keep picking one, and I can just do different things. So I might do that again. But what I was going to say is, if you are trying to start drawing again, I think you've got to be kind to yourself as well, haven't you? Don't go full on. Make it easy guiding outlines, like you were saying. Just say I'm going to draw for 5 minutes a day, or I'm going to draw 3 times a week. You don't have to go all in like I would and go, I'm going to do it every day. But the chances are that if you start drawing for 5 minutes, you're going to draw longer, don't you? Because I think starting for me anyway is the hardest thing. Once I get going, it's not a problem. It's a silly thing of making the effort, isn't it, to start that's hard. It could be other reasons, can't there, that you stop drawing as well. And one of those might be that you've hit a wall in your art, like you did recently.
Yeah.
You're not sure what you want to do next. I mean, I know I really felt like that when I was doing my colourful, exaggerated style. It got to a point and I just thought, this isn't what I want to do. This isn't right. Although I really like the results, it just feels a bit laboured. And so I think when you get to that point, you've got to allow yourself to experiment without forcing yourself to share on social media, unless you want to do it, like I do as an experiment. But though actually, when I did that 50 Ways to Draw a Face challenge, I purposely didn't video myself to give myself more freedom.
Yeah.
To not be concerned with that. And I have to say, experimenting to me is, especially through a challenge that you either set yourself or that you find online, that really does move you on. And that's moved me onto the direction I love. But there's other things you can do as well. You can change your format. Like I've also been trying, so you could go big if you normally, paint small. You could go really small. You could try working really quickly, work slowly, or basically just change things up for a bit. But like if you work like you do, say for example, on a large canvas that takes, well, not that large, but it takes a long time to complete, doesn't it? If you switch to working in a small sketchbook like you're doing in the mornings, I bet you can get loads done compared to, trying to create a really finished painting.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think, you've got to shake things up a bit. But, if you're bored perhaps with what you're creating, like you say, try something new. But I don't know if it was because your paintings, when you were talking about your exaggerated paintings, you felt they were a bit laboured.
Yeah.
When you first found that style, you loved it. You were enjoying it so much. Was it that they were getting a bit laboured? As in, what do you mean by that? Do you mean they were laboured in how you were creating them, or do you mean it was laboured because you were thinking, I'm a bit bored of this now? It's not.
No, it was laboured in how I was created. So
okay.
when I started them, obviously I hadn't used the crayons that much in that manner. So that was kind of either really strong. Using that way. So that was kind of new. And also the excitement of finding something new. But after I'd done a few, it became more like colouring in.
I see, yeah.
So I knew, I didn't know if it was necessarily going to turn out well, but because I drew it all out beforehand, so it wasn't a spontaneous thing. It was a face that I drew out and then effectively I coloured in, or, I painted, basically. But because of that, when you're trying to cover a large area with pastel, it just becomes quite tedious, really, when you know exactly what you're going to do.
And the outcome as well, when you just already know what it's going to look like.
I knew the outcome. Well, I didn't necessarily know the outcome. I knew the intention of the outcome. It didn't always work. But it was the colouring in, I think, was the problem.
Yeah.
Because it's just kind of tedious to colour large areas in a colour, whereas the method I use now, I don't do any pre-drawing. I don't necessarily know what it's going to look like totally either when I start. And I kind of like that.
Do you think it's a bit like having a relationship, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You have a new relationship, you find your new style, and you either find one that you're really, really comfortable with and you just bumble along quite nicely forever in the style you found, or in the relationship you found, or, it's very exciting to begin with, this is great and it's all new. And then after a while you're like, do you know what? I'm a bit over this now.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
It kind of gives you the same sort of feelings in some ways.
But do you not remember me when I was doing it, after I'd done a few of these drawings, I started to say, I wish there was a way I could make it more loose. And I kept on trying different things, didn't I?
Yeah.
I'd like try and do it wet in wet. But the problem is it then didn't give a nice look of the things. You know? And yes, I was constantly trying to find this thing. And I just think it wasn't there in that style.
Yeah.
A bit like a relationship, I guess.
So that, you know, the style of this painting I've just done, and even the subject, is completely different than what I've done before for a long time at least. I don't paint portraits, and I certainly don't paint them in the style of the old masters. So this has been a total change for me, and it's really made me excited about painting again. And I guess I could liken it a bit to the style I did those old teddies in a way. Don't get me wrong, I'm not interested in going further with this at all. I did this for fun. But, you know, basically I changed my style and my subject for just a bit of relief, I think, a bit of trying something else. But what I didn't change was my technique. So I suppose it wasn't totally alien to me. I think if I'd have tried to change absolutely everything, including my technique and my medium and my subject and my style, you know, that would have probably been a bit of a problem. I do think it's a good idea when you're doing this to keep an element of the familiar, maybe, even if you just tried a new medium or a completely different subject or a new surface, or do what Tara's done and do a completely different size. You know, it can be all you need to just get a bit of excitement back into your life again, you know. Well, sounds really sad, on it, back into your life, back into your studio.
Yeah. But also, I think if you might actually just be burnt out. You know, if you've been painting loads, especially, or, you know, or things have been going on around you, there's no harm in allowing yourself, to take a break, like you were saying, for a specific amount of time and let yourself refresh a bit, you know, and also, like you said, that pressure of seeming to be expected to do loads of drawing. And one thing I've actually noticed, this is going back to social media a little bit, is that if you look through some of the big social media accounts of artists and you flick back maybe a few months, you'll see they're using the same thing over and over again.
I've seen that where, you know, people do that. They'll put a painting up, and then they'll perhaps, you know, in a few months they'll have the same painting, but it'll be leaning up against a fruit bowl with a cup of tea or something.
The same. It's exactly the same paint, exactly the same picture even, I've seen. So if you scroll back, it's like, oh, there's that one again, there's that one again. So it gives the illusion that they're doing more than they are, probably.
They say now, don't they, that because it used to be, I know we keep harping back onto social media here, but it used to be with Instagram, they used to say that your actual feed, you know, your profile page where you've got all the thumbnails, should be very cohesive. And they're saying now that it doesn't matter anymore. That's not
right.
Yeah, they're saying now that actually isn't. It's not,
because it's all about video now. That's why, because people probably don't visit your profile as often because they're probably more in the video feed.
Yeah, so they're saying don't bother worrying about that. So it's interesting, isn't it? And I remember when they used to be all those filters. Do you remember? Everyone on Instagram were doing filters on their photos. They were kind of making them kind of look vintage almost.
Oh, yeah.
That was a thing for a while, wasn't it? So burnout. I think that was probably my problem.
Yeah, burnout, but also, you know, maybe it is that thing where you need to take the time off, but you might find, like you, that you start to miss it if you have that time off, which I think you are now, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely.
But if it's not, then maybe you need to try some of the other things that we've mentioned or we're going to mention.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did an episode, didn't we, Tara, on taking yourself as an artist on a date? Because I remember you hated the title. You're like,
I did.
That's so lame.
Yeah.
Can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was about giving yourself opportunities to look at other art. If you don't feel like painting or drawing, then book yourself on a date to, you know, put it on the calendar to go out for the day, get inspired without the pressure of having to do anything yourself. So it could be anything from going to a local art gallery, sitting down even just with a new art book, often that's all I'll need to get me running back to the studio when I've been in a bit of a rut. And sometimes you see in galleries subjects that you've never thought of painting before, but all of a sudden you see someone else's work and think, oh, wow, I'd love to try painting something like that. And of course, I don't mean copy that person, but take what it is you like from it, whether it's the subject or the colour combination or whatever that you're seeing in it that you like, and then allow it to inspire your own work. Sometimes just seeing some things, in a new way is enough to light that spark again. And I was thinking the other day actually about this. I love painting reflective objects. I really do. And I paint a lot of glass and I paint a lot of, all marbles and all this sort of stuff. And I was thinking the other day, I like the idea of painting some fish. I'm talking perhaps like fish just poking their head out of the water. But not just that, like maybe tropical birds or something. Imagine that with all those beautiful shiny feathers and their eyes. And the only thing that puts me off about doing that is that I'm an artist, but I am a terrible photographer. I'm not good at photography at all. I'm really not. And I don't have tropical wildlife in my garden in the UK. I don't have parrots in my garden.
But you're going away, aren't you?
Yeah, but I don't think I've seen any parrots in Thailand either. But and the thing is, you have to have a good photograph. And whilst I could go online and find a copyright-free image, it never feels the same to me if I'm working from someone else's photograph, unless it's somebody I know that they've taken the photograph and it's not something that's all over the place. It doesn't sit right for me. I just feel like it's not 100% mine, if you know what I mean. So, so I probably a zoo or something, I don't know, or maybe an aquarium or something. I don't know. But I did think the other day, I thought maybe, there's plenty more subjects out there. It doesn't have to be glass. I could mix it up a bit and do something else. But like I say, it's the photograph that's then the problem for me, because some of the things I want to paint, we don't have here in this country.
Yeah, and I'm like you. I'm not a good photographer either.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a point and shoot job for me. But,
I don't know anything about the, different lenses and all that. I just don't. And do you know what? Yeah. That's a step too far. I don't really want to learn that either, because I'm not really interested.
No. Maybe you stopped drawing because you had a confidence wobble. Now, you're not alone in that, because we've all been there. Me and you have been there loads of times, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
But I think it's like sport, because you see these sports people and they're doing really well. They win everything for a year. And then the next year, nothing goes right and they're not in the leaderboards for absolutely anything. And that's just how we are, isn't it? You get this time when you seem to be in the zone, everything goes right, and then you'll get like a month or two and just you draw crap. Yeah. And I don't know why it is. It's just weird. I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know if it's a burnout thing, or I don't know if it's why you wait to get to the next stage. But I think in the end, we just have to start to accept that it's normal and that everybody goes through that. But it does feel pretty sucky at the time, doesn't it?
Well, I'm actually glad to feel the opposite, and that it's nothing like sport, because if it was like sport, I would be rubbish. I was terrible at sport. Absolutely never did anything. Were you a sporty person? I bet you were. I bet you played
I wasn't.
netball.
No.
You didn't?
No.
Do you know,
the only thing I was good at was badminton.
Oh, same
but that's only because I played for a club.
Okay. I think social media has made things more, it's made people doubt themselves more, because you're forever being fed these images of other people's work. I think it doesn't do much for your confidence. Do you know what I mean? A bit like when you do sport at school and everyone else is doing really well and you're like, oh God, I'm still, I still haven't caught the ball yet.
I was the worst runner. I was always at the back.
I hated running.
Bad.
I hated it.
The quicks when you have to do quick stuff.
I just hated getting changed. I hated getting changed. I was always cold. I hated getting changed. I don't know about your school, but we were made. I mean, this is going back to the blooming.
Communal showers.
Yeah. Did you have to go in naked?
Yeah.
Had to go naked, and we had a teacher at the end of it, making sure that you walked through without any clothes on, and you had to have your arms down by your side. How cruel is that?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was cruel. Yeah, they used to check you'd gone in, yeah.
Anyway, I don't know why we're talking about that. But
no, I don't.
If you do have a confidence wobble, then one of the things I've found to be a good thing to do is just look at the art that you've done in the past. And it sounds really weird, but there are times when, you know, I've had to remind myself that I can actually paint when I have a confidence wobble. I mean, of course I can. I know that I can, and I do, and I've done, and all the rest of it. But I have to remember, and you have to remember, that we're all artists in our own right, and we don't need to compare ourselves to someone else who's doing fantastic work. The only way I can actually do that sometimes is actually by looking back on some of my own previous work, you know, my favourite stuff, and let myself look at it as a viewer instead of an artist for a change, or instead of the artist for a change. So when I detach from it, particularly if it's a painting I did quite a while ago, I think it's easier. When I can detach from it and look at it as though it's someone else's work, it's when I do that I can finally sort of see it for what it really is, and I can stand back and think, oh, well, you know, I've done that, so if I can do that, then I can do this, you know. I think the hardest kind of confidence wobble, though, comes from maybe if it comes from outside of you and it comes from someone else entirely. Maybe it's a negative comment somebody's given you, or maybe it's a negative comments from people about a painting you've done, or your work in general. And that's really tough to come back from, I think, especially if you're beginning. And I do totally get that. But you do have to remind yourself that, you know, as we've said a million times on this podcast before, we've all heard the term art is subjective. Well, it really is. There'll always be someone who doesn't like what you're doing. But it's very, very hard not to let that tread on your confidence. And you'd like to think most people wouldn't actually say it. But I do think that as artists, we have to have a thick skin, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I actually asked this question on Twitter, actually. Is there anything really such as good art, or is it all just taste? And a majority of people said it's taste.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Obviously, there's someone can actually, you know, there's skill level to applying paint and stuff like that. But in the end, you might get someone who applies paint terribly, but their work is worth a fortune just because somebody says it's good or believes it's good. So I think the majority of it is just taste, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
So try and keep the good comments somewhere so you can look back at them. I've mentioned it several times before, but I've got a notice board up behind me, and I've got some of our KITC comments on there. But maybe try doing this with your art, or put them on a screensaver, or, you know, even on your phone, just so you see it every day, because it really is that thing where as humans we're kind of programmed to make much more of the negative comments than we are of the positive ones. It's like you always brush off a compliment, don't you? But if someone says something back bad, you'll sit and linger on that for weeks. It's slightly crazy.
I do think as well that you get to a point, don't you, where you don't know if you're getting any better. You feel like you're at a standstill. You find that, don't you? I find that. I think we all do at some point. And it just occurred to me when you were talking about having that notice board, where you keep the good comments. That might be a good place, actually, to put the first drawing you can remember drawing when you first started, when you first thought, I want to be an artist, I want to take drawing seriously, or painting or whatever. You could actually pick something, your first drawing maybe, or your first painting, take a photo of it and pin it on your pin board. And then 6 months later, choose your most favourite painting from that period and put that next to it. And then 6 months later, do the same. And then you can look at a record of how you're improving, and like a time-lapse record. That would be quite a cool idea, I think.
Yeah, that would be a nice idea. I've seen people do that on social, actually, where they'll show, this is one of my paintings from like 2 years ago. This is from 6 months ago. It is quite fascinating. And I actually was digging through some of my rather disorganised paintings yesterday, because I was trying to video some different things. And it's funny, because you take out things that you thought were good, maybe from a year ago, 6 months ago, any time ago, and you thought, I used to really like that. And you think, oh my God, it's bad. And that's a really nice thing, because that is when you know you've progressed.
It is. It's
Because
you
you just
do,
think,
but then you
yeah.
can't help wondering, can you? If what you're looking at now, though, in about 3 years' time, you're going to be like, oh, that's terrible.
I know. I did think that as well.
Yeah.
Your pessimist way of thinking.
Another thing that could be, drawing you away from your art is the time of year. And God, can you believe? I mean, I know we're in September still, but really, as soon as the 1st of October comes around, that's it, isn't it? Do you know, what are we on now? What date are we on? It's the 21st as we record this. And I'm sure it was about 7 or 8 days ago, I actually saw the first full-on Christmas advert. It was on Sky, and there was the full Santa Claus and everything. I literally couldn't believe what I was seeing. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's terrible, isn't it? But it makes you think, oh my God, it's coming. And it's such a busy time. And, we can always tell how much it affects artists because that is one time when our Kicking the Creatives Facebook page slows right down, doesn't it? It's over the Christmas period. And there's definitely no shame in giving yourself some time off in that sort of holiday season. That said, though, there are things you can do if you want to be creative, but you just find yourself all over the place and you don't have time. You can help yourself stay creative by doing things like maybe making your own Christmas cards or gift tags. They're the little things that don't take very long, but they keep you in the habit of being creative in some way while you don't have much time, but they're still helping you towards whatever you're doing around that time. Another busy time is, of course, the summer holidays, which in the UK we've just come out of. If you have children, obviously, I mean, my children have left home now, so it doesn't make any difference to me. But, if you have got young kids and it's the summer holidays, that is a nightmare time to try and do anything for yourself, isn't it? But then again, maybe there are ways of weaving it in a different way. Perhaps you could take your kids out for the day on a sketching trip. That would be fun. I mean, most kids love drawing, don't they? They don't care whether they're good or bad. So do it with them, or maybe you could take over their art homework. My kids used to love me for that because I used to love doing art homework. And I always used to stress about that. I hope they get an A. I hope they get an A. But there isn't any point in stressing out about any art at times like that. All you can really do is adjust your routine to fit in with those particular times, or tie it in maybe with having a break if you tend to. I mean, I do know there are some artists out there that have a full month's break and they just have a 4-week period from start to finish. If you are one of those artists, then perhaps tie it in around one of those times.
Yeah, I mean, there are other things that can stop you drawing as well, and that is because you're forgetting to have fun with it, and maybe you're just not enjoying it because of that. And sometimes we get so much in our own heads, don't we? And we forget that the original reason we probably started art, it was for fun.
Yeah.
So I think that is one of the big reasons to take part in a challenge. I know I always say this challenge thing, but it doesn't even have to be a big challenge, a big organised one. It can be just something you set yourself. It can be say, oh, I'm going to do 2 little paintings a week or whatever. Just something that stretches you, but you're going to enjoy. Or maybe it's something completely out of what you normally do. Like you said before, you might have to go at collage, which I don't think you've done, have you?
Nah, I went off that idea.
No. Yes, I thought so. But you could also, if you want to make a bit more of a social thing to be fun, you could join in a local art class, see what's going on around you, or an online one. I prefer an online one. You don't have to see anyone else, do you then? Yeah. I like those as well, online one, because if you go to an in-person one, it gets a bit boring. You can't say, fast forward to the juicy bit, can you? Whereas an online one, you can just skip forward to all the rubbish and just work at your own pace. But if you do want a social thing, there are things online like live drawing, and often they're live. So that then you do get a sort of social element of everybody else on Zoom also doing it, but you can also turn them off when you've finished.
Yeah, definitely. I think allowing yourself to play, a little bit of playtime. And as I've said before, I'm speaking here from my experience. The playtime I've been enjoying recently has given me a real lift, I think. And it's a bit like going to school, isn't it? If you don't have a playtime, then you can't work nearly as well in class. There's a reason why kids are sent out to play is to burn off a bit of energy, burn off a bit of steam, and to just let go, because what they do back in the classroom, obviously they've got to behave themselves, they've got to do things, and not muck around. So it's as an artist, it's the same sort of thing. You need that time. And I suppose the best place to play as an artist would be in the sketchbook, isn't it? So please don't neglect your sexbook.
You said that last time.
Why do I keep saying that?
I don't know. You've got a sex book on the brain, haven't you?
I don't even own a sex book, I promise. So let me say sketchbook. Don't neglect the sketchbook. It's by far the best place to experiment and just have that fun with no pressure, no audience, no expectation. And it's surprising the things you can actually learn about yourself, like the things you enjoy and the things you don't, just by sketching regularly. But another fun thing, I think, to do is to start something with a friend so you can cheer each other on. It's a bit like going to the gym, and I know we've used this analogy a million times, but it's no fun going to the gym on your own. But if you go with someone else, you're going to be far more likely to actually do it. I suppose the tricky part is finding someone in your own immediate circle with the same interest. But if you can't, it's so easy now online, isn't it? Team up with a member of the Facebook group, maybe. I mean, our Facebook group certainly is a great place to meet other people with the same interests. And we see really lovely friendships developing on the Facebook group all the time, don't we? We can just tell by how many comments people give each other, and certain people kind of, I don't know, they just seem to hit it off. Maybe somebody in the group would like to, I don't know, do something with you. If you say, I think I'm going to do the 50 ways to draw a face challenge, do you fancy it? It's no harm in asking. They can only say no.
Do you know, when you were talking about that, I thought you were talking about getting one people in the group to do a fitness thing with you. You were talking about, it's nice to have someone together. So I could just imagine everybody there saying, should we have a little fitness class together?
That would be a new type of Zoom class, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Or maybe you could do jump and draw or something. So
do you know, we did
fitness.
In lockdown, we did do a couple of sketch things, didn't we? Like Zoom live drawing sessions where I would do various sort of poses and people would just try have a go at drawing. Yeah, maybe we could do, I could be doing like some sort of yoga or something. Not that I'm any good at yoga, but attempting the downward dog or whatever, and people could have a go at drawing, because that way I'm kind of moving a bit.
Maybe we should do I meant actually the participants would be doing yoga.
And then we could draw them.
Drawing. No, and they're drawing at the same time. Or they do
I see.
Two laps of your room, and then you do a sketch, and then another two.
Well, that would be loose, wouldn't
it? Now, we sort of touched on this, but you might have also stopped drawing because you've got a bit of a bout of comparisonitis. I'm amazed I said that.
I'm amazed you said that.
Because, I mean, it's a social media thing, isn't it, again? It's like years ago, I remember when I was about 20, if you wanted to look at art, the only place you're either going to see art is either go to a gallery or you're going to have to buy yourself an art book or an art magazine. But then if you bought the art magazine or art book, you would assume that the artists in there were like the cream of the cream. You would assume they were like right up there. And now you obviously get to see so many amazing artists. You start to think that is the norm.
Yeah.
When it's not. It's just that the other people don't either put the work out there, or because they've not got that level of following, you don't see them so much. And
well, it's like watching the Olympics, isn't it? If you just were obsessed with the Olympics and follow everyone who does sport, you'll think that everyone should be good at sport. But that isn't the reality, is it? Most of us are rubbish.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that. But also realise that while you're there looking and dribbling at somebody's amazing artwork, there'll be someone else who's probably doing there's someone else who'll be looking at your work and thinking, I'm never going to be that good.
Yeah.
So it's all comparative, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, definitely just look back on your own stuff and remind yourself of your own capabilities and stop worrying about so much everyone else's, We're all different at the end of the day.
So shall I read out the question we had last time.
Yes.
And that was, and I thought this was a bonkers question, but we got some fantastic answers. So
Yeah.
I bow my head.
Thank you.
If you could choose one imaginary friend to join you in your art studio, who would it be and why?
So we've got Andy W. Art. I would like a small dragon, please. One that can curl up on the end of a workbench and occasionally share a biscuit with. Quiet company is great and always appreciated. Communication would generally be a yawn, a stretch and a fart. I guess the dragon would get used to me doing that. Well, I just hope that dragons only breathe fire out of their mouths and not their bums then, because you could have a nasty fire going on in studio. I would never have thought of an answer as being a dragon, would you?
No, but I do like that one.
Dragon, that's so cute. Very imaginative answer, I love it.
I've got Michael Beckett, and he says, I'd like to have a little Leonardo da Vinci sitting on my shoulder. I think we both have OCD minds, so we'd get on great. Who knows, maybe it'd be a little genius rub off on me.
Sharon Boone, Samantha. My daughter and I joke whenever something unusual happens that we have a poltergeist named Samantha. She's inspired by the scene in Frozen 2 when Olaf was calling out names because he was lost. He said, Samantha, I don't even know a Samantha. We love that line and Samantha was born. I even have a series of stories in my head of Samantha's view of the neighbourhood. Do you know, I've never seen Frozen 2, so I'm not sure.
I think I've only seen bits of Frozen 1.
I haven't seen either.
I've got Kim Hine, and she says, I'd like to have a Vincent in the art studio with me. I assume she means Vincent van Gogh and not just some random Vincent lorry driver. We could talk about the sad stuff while we paint.
You'd have to be standing on the right side of him, though, wouldn't you, to make sure he could hear?
No, that's true. Yep. Yes.
Catherine C. Slater, I'd rather be by myself in the studio. Now, I think you'd be the same, Tara.
Totally. I'd much rather be by myself.
Yeah.
I've got Roving J, and she's replying to Catherine. She says, absolutely. I love calm and no distractions in the studio. Please don't even talk to me. Pretend I'm not here.
Margaret Gray, I miss having a pet, so a little someone in my studio to hug when I get down on myself would be great, like the anti-inner critic. Yeah, I must say, generally speaking, Sherlock, my dog, is with me in my studio. It's only when I walk backwards, I step back from the easel and I realise I'm standing on his face. I'm falling over him, but then it's a bit annoying, but generally speaking, he's very good.
I've got Karen Turtle Creates. I don't know if I've said that. Or is it K.A. Aaron Turtle Creates? I don't know. Sorry about that. But not quite imaginary, but I'd hang out with my inner child and combine different animals to make new hybrids. Times were simple back then. It'd be nice to escape the pressures of adult life for a bit.
I've got Tara Schenker. I think I'd have to pick one of the ascended masters like Saint Germain, Merlin, and turn my images into magical doorways.
I've got creatives of a design illustration. Well, maybe not quite what you mean, but my imaginary friend would take away all the boring stuff while I concentrate on creating cool stuff. That sounds perfect.
Yeah. Lisa Rakesox. I don't know if I've pronounced that right. Sorry, Lisa, if I haven't. My imaginary friend would be Claude Monet, and we would be chatting away as we both scribble with oil pastels all day and night on many different pieces of paper and canvases. I've
got Steffi Tunes. It'd be Philo Dat Cat. I don't know who that is.
I don't know either.
Because he is a side that can be everything and anything he wants to be and not follow rules. We always have to put a smile on your face.
I've got Deborah Crary Art, Marc Chagall. I've never heard of this one.
Yeah, that's right.
Would be my imaginary friend. He would speak to me in French, and would just smile when I asked him to repeat himself or slow down. He would tell me stories about his childhood and the time he spent in Paris and southern France with the love of his life. His joy for living vibe would be contagious, and he would gently encourage me to use my imagination and be freer with my colours and composition and not be afraid to include more personal references in my paintings. Enlighten me, Tara. Who's Marc Chagall? Am I being really uncultured here because I've never heard of him?
I know he's an artist, but I'm not sure what he painted. Sorry. So I'm no help either.
No.
I've got Jim Whaley Art, and he says, I think I'd choose Johannes Vermeer. I don't know if I spelled it. Is that Johannes? Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Well, the imaginary version of him that could speak contemporary English and was willing to share whatever secret techniques he used to get those hyper-realistic paintings hundreds of years ago.
I've got Fihot Art. Obviously, these are Instagram names. I have the voices of my favourite writers talking to me regularly while I'm painting. Virginia, Sylvia, Maya, Shakespeare. Their words inspire moods, colours and shapes in the studio. My portraits' eyes' expressions are always responding to one of them. And we have a brand new question for you, which is, and I think I might have forgotten to write it on the original notes, Tara, so you probably don't even know.
Yeah.
So you don't know what it is, do
no.
you? Okay.
No.
So, if you could have your portrait painted by a famous artist, living or dead, who would it be and why? So, if you could have your portrait painted by a famous artist, living or dead, who would it be and why? So, Tara, I'm springing this right on you because you didn't even know what the question was. Any thoughts on that?
There'd be two.
I know. Do you know what? I'm wondering if we're going to say the same one of them.
We are going to say the same one of them.
Let's
We're going to say the
Christian Hook.
Yeah.
Oh,
Christian. I was thinking it's,
Christian Hook.
Christian
Isn't it
Hook,
funny
yes.
that we both said that?
Yeah. He'd be one.
Yeah.
And the other one, can you guess?
Oh, Lewis Rossignol.
Yes. I'd love to see what he would make of me.
Yeah, I can't believe I got that right. That was pretty impressive considering you didn't know what I was going to... I didn't know your answer and you didn't know the question. Oh, very...
No.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. But, you did cheat a bit, though, there, because I did say one. So out of those two, which one?
No, I'm not picking. No.
Well, I love... Do you know what? Yes, I totally... Because he actually did... not Christian Hook, sorry. Lewis Rossignol, we all are aware of how he paints and draws and whatever, and he's fantastic. But recently, on his Instagram, he's been doing some... he did Breaking Bad, the one that played the... Oh, I can't remember its name.
Yeah, he paints quite realistic, yeah?
Yeah, and that's far removed in some respects to what he does, like in his sketchbooks. But I mean, so far removed, but at the same time, so incredibly similar. And I can't explain what I mean, but it's so clever. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how he would paint a portrait of you. But yeah, Christian Hook. I feel like Christian Hook paints people from the inside out. I really do. And I love how he paints eyes. And I love how it doesn't matter how old or craggy someone looks, he seems to make them look beautiful. So, bring it on.
I think Christian Hook could make me look better and Lewis Rossignol would make me look worse.
I don't know how he'd feel about that comment.
No, but in an interesting way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you always complain you have a red nose. You always complain about that.
I have got a red nose.
Yeah, but Lewis Rossignol, he paints them red anyway, so no one would ever know. They just think it was a style thing.
Yeah. Well, that's true, yeah. Anyway, as always, you can tweet us your much better answers to Kick Creatives or let us know in the Facebook group, which I highly suggest you join if you haven't already. And also, we'll put the question up there and on the Facebook page and, of course, on Instagram, which is Kick in the Creatives.
And we hope that gave you the kick in the creatives you needed. Don't forget to pop over to our website at kickinthecreatives.com to find out how you can take part in some of our upcoming creative challenges. And of course, there you can also subscribe to the podcast so you never miss one of our episodes. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we'd be so grateful if you would leave us a little review. We haven't had one for a while, so yeah, it'd be really nice, even a star rating if you don't have much time. Also, Tara, do you want to mention Evolve again? Because they're our sponsors, aren't they, for this podcast?
Oh, yeah. Evolve, what they do is basically teach you online how to paint to a professional level in, I think it's a year or less. It's something you'd have loved, wouldn't you, when you were starting out?
And you only have to look at the standards of it is insane.
If you want to learn more about Evolve, the best thing to do is they've got a free, I think it's a 1-hour masterclass that you can watch. And all you have to do is go to kickinthecreatives.com/Evolve webinar. And you'll find it there. And also with that course as well, I think what's quite clever is they actually send you all the materials you need. so that you know that you're using the correct stuff, which is a big
Yeah.
help when you get started.
Brilliant. And it doesn't matter whether you're in the UK or America
No.
or whatever, does it? Which is superb. Yeah.
One more thing, if you go over to our website, you might also want to sign up for our newsletter, and we just send you what's going on, what challenges we've got happening, remind you of the podcast, and we also send you midway through the month just some tips and ideas if you're doing any of the challenges.
Yeah, a little kick up the bum, really, in the middle of the month, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you enjoy what we do and you'd like to help us here at Kicking the Creatives, you can now support us by buying us a coffee, and you can find the link to do that on our website. So that's it for this time, and we will see you fortnight. I was going to say next week, fortnight. See ya. Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, perhaps you'd like to share it and leave a review for us on iTunes. Back soon. Yeah.
So that is another idea.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it is a
what was
good
our
idea.
next-
And
next-
sorry, what was that?
Oh, no, I thought you were going to move on to the next point. Sorry.
Will you stop talking while I'm interrupting, please?